everyone, and welcome to my second episode. Each episode, I invite you to tune in while I host a new guest to share their experience in the music industry. Today, we will be discussing audio engineering. My name is Sydney, and this is the setup. Let me start by introducing you to Yasmine Mifdal. Yasmine is an audio engineer who has been touring with Xavier Omar. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
How's it feel being back in Chicago after touring?
It's nice, but at the same time, we were just touring like all of the South and the West Coast, so it was super nice to be out of Chicago for the winter. So being back is a little bit of a reality check. But
oh, I'm sure it's an adjustment. Were you in a tour bus?
Yeah. The nice thing about this was it was like 2 runs that were 3 weeks and 3 weeks, and then so the first run went like Thanksgiving to Christmas, and then we got a couple weeks off, and then we did another 3-week run. That was the Southeast one, which is the one I just got back.
Do you have any time to yourself?
You get days off. Usually we'll do no more than 4 shows a week, so that's like 3 days off, and some of those are spent in the bus actually driving like destination to destination.
So how is it being on the road?
On this tour it was great because there were actually 3 women on this tour. Xavier actually brought his wife along, and she helped out with merch, and then we had another merch seller, Alicia. She was amazing.
What does your day look like, landing in a city?
It's important to know, obviously, since I do concerts, the nights are pretty late, so the time I'm waking up is pretty late. So we'll usually start moving on the bus around 8 a.m. I fall asleep around like 4 a.m.-ish, 4 or 5.
My gosh.
Yeah, so I'll sleep usually 4 to noon. We'll be in the city by like between 10 and noon. But this time we started working at 2, so I usually take 2 hours to set everything up. I was running in-ear monitors and front of house for this band, so set up all the equipment, make the drum kit, set up my console, make sure my recording rig is set up, and then we'll do an hour-and-a-half sound check. Then doors are open, so I'll leave a playlist on for doors, and then usually I get like an hour-and-a-half between doors and the actual show. And we had some great openers with us on this tour, so depending on whether or not I was mixing the opener, I would either start working or I'd go grab my laptop, make sure it was ready for while the opener's playing, make sure because usually the venue engineers will take care of the support if they're not like actually like hiring out ours, like the tourist sound people and stuff like that, because it costs extra for them. In between the openers set and like the headliner set, it's always like the busiest like 10 minutes of my day.
And why is that?
Changing batteries, helping put out set lists, making sure that if I'm using a guest monitor engineer, he knows where all of the cues are, going through all the set list cues, making sure nothing got unplugged between like the 4 hours of sound check and the actual set itself, getting everything set up to be ready to be recorded, and then finally the show happens. And then the show happens.
Fingers crossed that nothing happens.
Yeah, and honestly, every show on this tour was amazing. We had like no major like big technical hiccups on my end.
So is it just you, or do you have any assistant or helps you out?
So we had our tour manager was awesome about helping us out with stuff like that. We also toured with an LD, so him and I were kind of just like tag teaming, making sure like the whole show was good. But I was also
for anyone who doesn't know that, what's an LD?
A lighting designer. Where I was also the production manager, so I kind of had a little bit more of a say on like the flow of the day, which helps me a lot. And
is there anything that interesting that happened?
Xavier has this song that he has a guest artist sing with him, and she actually was support for us for 10 of the shows on the West Coast run, which was great. So for those 10 shows, she came out and she sang her part of the song, and it was beautiful, and she's amazing, and her name's Paris Alexa, and everybody should check her out because her music is phenomenal.
I will add a link after this.
Yeah. After she was done with her run with us, it went back to like Xavier would pick a contest winner through like Instagram submissions for every show. So he would select one, they'd come to sound check, meet him, play the song, like sing the song, get ready, like make sure we have everything we need for the show so they can be as comfortable as possible. During the show, she just started like scatting over the song, like jazz scatting, and honestly, we ran back the stems in Pro Tools the next day, and we were all cracking up.
I know you mentioned that like this run, there were no hiccups really.
Yeah.
But have you ever experienced like any challenges maybe earlier
definitely. I did a 9-week run with an artist called Smino. Like during soundcheck, I had been trying to calibrate my program with the console that they have, because all festivals supply all the audio consoles, and if you want to bring one in, you can, but I wasn't even traveling with my own for that tour, so I was using theirs, and for some reason the version of my software that I had written my file on or whatever like was not cooperating with the board, and it like the board reset itself.
And then what did you do?
At the beginning of the show, I held the show for a little bit, but it's Coachella, so the sets are timed, and you don't really have too much time to like...
Right, to figure it out, because it's like 30 minutes.
Exactly.
How did you become a part of that? Is it through the artist?
Yeah, through the artist, for sure. So through Smino's management, he books the festivals. I was a part of his team for all of last year's festival season, so basically whenever he goes to a festival, he travels with most or all of his team.
Okay. And then how did you get connected with like Smino or Xavier?
Both of those are like friend of friend things, which is weird. Like the Smino, when I met his music director at another party I was doing audio for, and Xavier, his content manager, is like a mutual, or him and I have like a lot of mutual friends, and he was like looking for someone and they recommended me, so
That's
it's
amazing.
like been a lot of like just like
it really is all about word of mouth.
It really is.
It's like once you get someone's trust, it spreads like wildfire. After the performance, do you guys get out of there?
Yeah. Cool thing about Coachella, since it was 2 weeks, our Coachella dates were kind of built into the tour, so we were already in California, like as a part of the routing of the tour. Like we played Saturday, and then that Sunday we had a show in San Francisco. So the first weekend we didn't stay, but the second weekend, I remember we rented like a big house and we stayed the whole weekend because we had a couple days off around it. So yeah, we were able to go and enjoy it. Honestly, I didn't go Sunday because I was so tired.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like with all the travel.
So honestly, yeah, I got to, and I was like, I went and saw Tame Impala after our set on Saturday, like after loading out our like stage, and we had a whole trailer of stage props. He actually toured with like half of a shelled out like Pontiac Bonneville. Like an 800-pound car we had to load into like venues.
What is that like? Touring with so many different people?
Yeah, I think in general, honestly, both of the teams I've like toured on a tour bus with, or even any team I've like been directly working with, I haven't had like any like real issues with the personality. It's more when I'm like visiting and people don't, like when I'm like visiting a venue and it's the venue personnel that usually give me like the hardest time, and like that I clash with a lot.
I see.
Mostly because I come in and I'm like very firm about what I do, and I'm very like, let's get this done. And they don't expect that out of someone who looks like me, so they immediately don't. I'm like so used to people just not taking me seriously.
How much time do you spend with the venue management to go through like the flow of a show?
So usually at the beginning of the day, I'll try to get everything out of the way as soon as I get there, so they know what they like to expect. A lot of artists choose to have their own playlist, or like their engineers will choose to have their own playlist. Our playlist, like our pre-show playlist, was like a compilation, and everybody contributed. And then like Xavier had a couple songs he liked at the end of the show. We had a couple songs as a group. Like everybody like loved to turn up to them, so like I would play the same like 5 songs at the end of every show.
What's the biggest production you had a hand in?
So in the summer, I actually mix broadcast audio and the PA feed for NASCAR.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
a little bit different.
It's a little bit different than working with like rappers and R&B singers.
Yeah. How did you fall into that?
That was through college. So my mentor in college had worked with a company that does all the install tracks and has a bunch of contracts with a few different NASCAR tracks in the country.
And that's why it's great to have a mentor.
Yeah, it is great to have a mentor, even if it's funny because like I never ever would picture myself like with the NASCAR crowd, and I stick out like a sore thumb. It's like 4 45 plus white men and me like on my team, but they're all great, and I've learned a lot from like all of them.
It's really great when someone takes a chance on yourself.
Exactly.
And then it's something that you could take with you moving forward.
Exactly.
And then hopefully pay for it as well.
I get like the best job because I get everybody's sub mixes.
For people like me and everyone that's non-audio engineering, can you go over what submix is?
We'd call them like aux outs or bus outs. That is basically I'll take all the inputs into my console. So each announcer is an input. the music is an input, which actually you would think all these racetracks have their own like playlists and stuff.
Right.
That's all me.
I've been to a couple of NASCAR races before, and they had like musical performances.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have a hand in as well?
Yeah, so those will either come in through like another person who's actually down, because I sit in the booth and I can't really leave because I have to mix the whole PA.
Right.
So I'll sit up there, and then either that'll come, depending on how many inputs it is, it'll either come directly to me, or like there'll be someone else like downstairs actually mixing it, and they'll send me their feed. So all those things will come in, all those aspects will come into me, and then I'm in charge of sending them out to all the places they need to go. So like the TV truck needs their mix, and like they're all different, so it's not like I can just send like the same feed out to everybody. So like the like actual like stadium feed is going to need like the announcers and the music, and the TV trucks aren't going to need the music, they're just going to need the announcers, and that's it. And then like there's a press box that needs the TV feed so they can actually hear like the commentators on the race.
As someone that goes to events and shows, like I never realized that it's you that's creating that. I thought it's kind of like a preset from the venue itself. I have to ask you, what is your favorite part about doing what you do?
I think my favorite part is when like the show is like set, like it started, it like everything's going good, like the band seems comfortable and locked in, and like the sound is locked in, and I kind of just get to like chill, make sure nothing goes wrong, and like just enjoy the show from my console.
Do you collaborate with the artists you tour with? How's that process look?
My like first step is when I book the job with any artist, I'll go and listen to their whole catalog, and I'll gather like a good idea of their aesthetic and their sound. And with Xavier, it was really great to have them in the studio for rehearsal. Got to actually like work with them and like listen to them as a band, and like I could take my time and I could kind of just like reinforce what they're doing with like a little like just kind of refine and like amplify their sound. I could work with Xavier on like the effects for his vocals, because he has a lot of like slow ballady songs, and he has like just like this really amazing like large voice, and I really wanted to get a lot of like big like make it like echo kind of in the thing. So him and I worked a lot on his effect work, and he would let me know if there was like something he could hear that he wasn't like super into, or if he wanted me to change something, and like I was the same way back. It's not always like that, but with him it was great to be able to kind of like work on that. Yeah.
Are you going back on tour with him?
Yeah, I have another tour coming up with an artist, Eek. He's a rapper based out of California.
And how did you guys get connected?
The merch guy on Smino's tour is his tour manager, and we became really good friends on the Smino tour.
If you guys didn't know, a lot of people in the music industry do different types of gigs, and one person do merch, and then their tour manager, like Yasmine was talking about this. I'm sure everyone's learning this. How did you get your start?
I started playing saxophone when I was like 8 years old.
Do you still play?
Yes, I do.
I play violin. Could we do like some sort
Yeah,
of violin
let's
saxophone
do it.
mashup?
So I ended up going to Columbia for jazz studies as a saxophonist, and was going to double major in that in recording science at Columbia. Columbia is really unique in that it's like one of the only schools besides like Full Sail and Belmont that have like a real like live sound degree program. So I had a couple friends who were also in my recording classes who were in the live sound program. They were like telling me about their jobs, and I was like, wow, this sounds way more like what I want to do. It made sense for me to be like, oh, I would love to do a different show every day in a different place, and like so
Different people,
different
sounds.
Yeah, different equipment, different people, different like I was like I love the changing variables of everything. That like I actually thrive in that environment.
The same way I love change.
Yeah, so I started going over there. I met my mentor, who's the department head. He basically was like, look at what all my like alumni are doing, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I changed my major, became a teaching assistant, started gigging really early.
Were you offered a teaching assistant role? Okay.
Yeah. So I was offered a teaching assistant role because I was always like in the lab, like asking questions and like playing with equipment and like trying to figure out anything I could so I could get out and actually start taking gigs. And I think that was like the biggest difference between me and a lot of the kids I graduated with. I definitely like was like, I need to start working now, so by the time I graduate, like I can have
Super smart.
I don't have to like be doing like internships and unpaid shows.
Where did you start?
I Started at a warehouse a production warehouse for an AV company in the West Loop, and I worked for them for a long time, for 2 years.
And how did you find them?
Through more people at school.
Okay.
Who were already working there. So I got a lot of like my like basic like how to fix equipment. Also,
Would you say that it was valuable to start there, and would you recommend that people who are trying to get into your expertise do the same?
Yeah, if you've never done this before, no company's gonna let you come in and just be like, start being like the A1 on their shows, or like the audio one.
Right.
So everybody kind of has to put in their dues in that aspect. And at the same time, I was also working at House of Blues, and I was starting to work in their main hall, like doing monitors in front of house. So like I was already like getting like bigger show experience and like less stagehand work and more actual audio works.
Tell me how you got to where you're at now, touring on your own.
Since I was a teaching assistant, I was very involved in a lot of the shows and things that were going on. The biggest difference was like I can actually like go and travel. So I was like, I just started taking more traveling gigs as they came. And when I met Smino's MD, that was like, he was like, oh, you have the next 2 months free? And I was like, yeah, I do. So let's go.
You have your next couple of months planned out?
Yeah, so that is like the kind of hard thing to juggle with freelancing. So I have a few like gigs this month, but mostly this month is off. It's like a blessing and a curse. Like I had 4 months off last year, which was great. Like I know the general flow of like the rest of the year.
And I think that's like the best case scenario that can happen as being a freelancer. So, okay, one last thing, and I need to leave it at this. What piece of advice would you give someone that is looking to be in the role that you are in right now?
At first, say yes to everything. I said yes to literally any job, any like shred of relevant experience I could get within reason. Like, don't let people take advantage of you. Don't let people not pay you. Say yes to everything you can do. Like any type of music, any type of programming. Like I've worked like shows for like the Baha'i Temple and like AT&T, and I work for NASCAR and a bunch of rappers.
I've heard that more than once from people in the industry, and I think like, you know, young people, especially starting off, do feel like they're feeling pressured to just take anything, because they think anyone else can like fill their spot.
And you have to know your own worth. Different experience is very valuable in my opinion, but also not at the cost of like yourself. Like you're not gonna have like a normal life if you're on tour. You're not gonna be able to like have a normal relationship. Like you're gonna have to kind of like sacrifice a little bit of that to like for your job, which is another thing I don't think people are 100% like ready for a lot, especially with like the touring thing. It's like you're gone for 9 weeks. Like you're not gonna see your family or your pets or like any, like your life isn't the same for 9 weeks. And,
and that's actually really great advice and experience to give the listeners that are interested, because I think, you know, it does look glamorous. And it can be.
No, there are some, there are experiences I would never, ever dream of being able to have in my life if I hadn't had them on tour. Like amazing things that I never thought I would see, or like people I thought I never would meet, or like rooms I never thought I would be in, but like thanks to touring, I've like it's made that space for me.
Thank you for being my second guest.
I'm excited.
Thank you for tuning in. If you liked what you are hearing and you want to learn more about different people in the music industry, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Setup series. Subscribe to my podcast. Once again, I'm Sydney, and this is The Setup, and I will see you next time. See you guys.